Hi there, I'm Audrey Adams. Do you want to live a better, healthier, and more financially secure life? If so, then Talk with Audrey is for you. I talk to experts from a variety of fields. We'll talk about your financial life. We also delve into health and aging, and of course, business. You can get the benefit of all these interviews and so much more. Just watch Talk with Audrey right here. And if you need more information, either about me or the show, visit my website, talkwithaudrey.com. Tell your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, everyone you know to join you in this pursuit of a better life. Watch Talk with Audrey. Welcome back. IBM recently announced at the IBM Think Summit in London that it is set to transform mankind's relationship with the ocean by crossing the Atlantic with an unmanned autonomous ship that'll push technology to its limits, like the Mayflower did in 1620. My guest is Brett Phaneuf, Managing Director of the Mayflower Autonomous Ship. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Sounds like a project. So where should we start? So let's talk about the ship.
Sure. It's an interesting one. So as you may know, it's focused on commemorating the original voyage 400 years later, and we're sort of being inspired by the sense of new beginnings and sort of the grit and determination of the Pilgrims to push us forward into our new beginning of our own, looking at the next 400 years of the marine enterprise. And now we're very good at building ships, and we're good at building even automated ships. But what we haven't done really is fully autonomous ships, and so that's why we're teamed up with IBM. IBM has developed sort of all the foundational technology in artificial intelligence that we will now bring to bear sort of in the guise of a virtual captain or an AI captain that will pilot this vessel with no human intervention across the ocean from Plymouth to Plymouth. It's an interesting problem. The ocean is the biggest problem, biggest obstacle, but that's the same as that which was faced by the original people who sailed in 1620. We have a much more robust vessel, I would think, but the AI side of it, well, that's really on the cutting edge, and I'd love to talk to you more about that.
Absolutely. So AI is technology that everyone is very curious about.
Indeed.
How is it actually going to help power this ship from Plymouth to Plymouth?
Well, the way it'll work is it's sort of AI is kind of a hard thing to describe even for me. So I guess I would describe it as sort of a collection of programs that are optimized to do different types of things together and come to a solution that's the most likely to be successful in reaching a goal. And in this case, we're trying to go from Plymouth to Plymouth, and while we do that, we have to avoid obstacles, and we have to avoid weather that might be too dangerous for the ship. We have to understand the health of the vessel, and then we also want to collect all sorts of data so we can learn more about the ocean. And the way that's done, or the way the ship is assembled, is sort of there's a program called Operational Decision Manager, for example, that is generally used in the finance industry, but sort of looks at rules, static rules like the collision regulations in navigation, and sort of asks us over and over again, or asks itself if our ship is behaving in accordance with those rules and if other ships are behaving. And then it sort of outputs recommendations to the higher level program about what it should do to be safe. And then we've got Power AI Vision, which is another IBM product that looks at all the cameras that we've deployed for years, looking at the sea and teaching it what ships and other things are that it might encounter. And then we make a model of those, and then they push out to what's called an edge device, which is a smart sort of sensor like a camera or a radar, but that has sort of a very powerful tiny little computer in it that has a model that we've taught it about the world on it, and when it sees something, it can say, that's a ship, or that's a buoy, or that's land, or I shouldn't, whatever it is, I don't know, but I shouldn't hit it. And then it sends that information back to the sort of central program. And then we've got information coming from satellites that tell us all about the weather along the route from the weather company, and that's another IBM venture, a big data company. And they give us sort of great detailed information down to a very small level about what the weather is where we are, and help us do an efficient navigation route to take advantage of it or to avoid inclement weather and then avoid hitting other things, and all the while getting to the end goal. So it's kind of in a nutshell, that's sort of what it will do. And at the same time, it's going to be collecting all that camera data and radar data and temperature data and depth data and water samples, and looking at suspended microplastics and zooplankton and even towing a hydrophone, listening to cetaceans so we can look at where whale populations are along the voyage. And it can sort of store all that data, and as computers progress in power, process it all, produce information that it can then send back through satellite to us. But generally, it doesn't need any satellite connection at all to work. It's out there all by its lonesome, but it doesn't get lonely, and it's ever vigilant. It doesn't get fatigued. It doesn't get distracted, and it's always trying to optimize our voyage. We haven't got a name for it yet, but we're working on it for the AI.
So what will it look like? Will it look like the Mayflower, or?
Oh, no, it's sort of exotic looking. It's an aluminum trimaran, or what I would call a stabilized slender hull, optimized to have very low propulsive force required, so it's very efficient. And when you take all the people stuff off a ship, if you think of a ship, it's built as a wrapper around the people to keep them safe and to give them food and places to sleep and places to operate the vessel and all the other things people need to be safe at sea. And all the regulations are built around that. But once you take the people away from the ship, it becomes a very simple machine, and you can make it, you can optimize it for your mission very quickly. And so it's a rather exotic looking vessel with solar and a wing sail and a biodiesel generator, and it will be about 50 feet long and about 20 feet wide from the edge of each hull to the other side. And it's very lightweight by comparison to the Mayflower. It weighs only about 6 or 7 tons, and it will run along at somewhere around 10 knots across the ocean. But we don't have to go fast because there's no one there. There's no threat of injury. There's no threat of food shortage. We don't have to worry. We can take as long as we like and collect as much data as we like, or we can go as quickly as we'd like, depending on weather. But it's an exotic-looking vessel. But the nice thing about the AI is, even though it's in this vessel optimized for this particular thing, once we've trained the AI, or once you train a computer, all of them are trained. Then it's portable. We can use it in the commercial world. We can use it in pleasure yachts. We can use it in any different application where you want to increase safety and optimize efficiency so that we're better stewards of the environment and better stewards of our own safety at sea.
Wow. And let me hear, this is probably a strange question, but how do you protect the vessel from people?
It's not. That's actually the biggest problem. I've worked on several projects where there were unmanned vessels, automated vessels that weren't autonomous, and they oftentimes people would interfere with them. They just, out of curiosity, would go over and interfere with them. And then in other cases, it's the AI will always follow the rules of the road, so to speak. It'll always follow coal regs. That's not the problem. It's people have been behaving very badly at sea for millennia, and they don't follow the rules particularly well. So that's the big problem when the ship encounters something that's erratic, how it responds. And that's one of the key things we have to teach it, is how to deal with unforeseen circumstances and erratic behavior. And we've been working very, very, very hard on that for the last couple of years with IBM.
I think it would be interesting if it would pitch them off. But anyway.
I would rather they just leave it alone, personally. But
well, yeah, right, exactly. But it would be interesting if, there could be some interesting scenarios, I'm sure. So I understand that you grew up in Boston.
I did.
Which is, of course, close to the ocean. So this project probably means a lot to you personally.
Oh, it does. I grew up in Boston, as you say, and I spent time down in Plymouth at Plymouth Rock and at the Pilgrim Monument down in Provincetown. And, of course, my family's been in the Boston area since the late 1620s. And I grew up on and around the sea. I come from a family of mariners. And now I happen to live in Plymouth in the UK. So I've kind of got both ends of my life and both ends of the journey all coming together. And then I also have worked as an archaeologist in the past, a historian, and now as an oceanographer and an engineer. So it seems like all the strands of my life are coming together now in this one venture. So it's very close to my heart. It's one of the few things I get to do in life that is purely altruistic.
Wonderful. Wow. Well, it sounds like an adventure for everyone involved. Will we be able to track it or?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We're working with the University of Birmingham and with IBM to allow people to sort of be virtually present on the ship. That all comes down to bandwidth, so we've got good satellite providers, and that'll help bring it to the public, or let the public experience what the voyage is like at sea, both in sort of near real time, looking through the camera systems, but also through augmented reality that'll be provided by the University of Birmingham.
Where can we go for some more information, Brett? This is quite an adventure.
Well, probably the best place would be go to the IBM newsroom. Just search IBM newsroom on your web browser and you'll find it. And then the nonprofit that's funding the build of the ship is promare.org. That's promare.org. And you can check there. And there's all sorts of great stuff about the ship. And we'd love to hear from people and see what they think.
Yeah. I'm going to check it out. And I think it'll be a good classroom project as well.
I agree.
Without a doubt. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
And I'll be right back after this.